I'm going to show you how to unlock Gley completely for free. I'm also going to show you the best farm methods, each step-by-step guide on how to unlock her, as well as some of the confusing things and confusing materials in order to get those done and over with. I'm also going to show you the best routes that I have for some of these farm materials, as well as overall missions, and some other neat tips and tricks for her in general. What's up, world? It's Utopia back in with another video. Today we're checking out all things the first Descendant. Okay, so let's just jump into it. Let's learn how to get Gley. We're going to start with the easier stuff, and then we're going to get into some of the harder stuff and the really hard stuff to get for Gley. So first up, we do have the blue materials and the blue mat farm. So I'm going to go over each of these. I'm going to go over the best locations that I know overall for each, as well as where to get the materials, and again, my farm route, as well as some tips with that. Okay, so first up, we do have the Monarch shards, which are in the King location, or the Kingston zone. Now, I went over to the Fallen Theater, which seems like the easiest part to go to, or the easiest location for this, as there was an easy route for this, and just running around in a circle. And again, a main tip for this that I learned in my last video is when you are looking for these, we're going to be focusing on munitions boxes and not resource boxes this time. So on PC, you want to hit the tab key, or on Xbox or PlayStation, you're going to hit the R3, which is just pushing in your stick. So as you're running around, you want to constantly hit these, but you can follow the route that I do on screen. And as you go through and get these munitions boxes, it's only going to take you, again, maybe 1 or 2 runs of these. You can always travel back to Albion, but more than likely when you do get to the end of this route, you can head back to the outpost, and then those will automatically respawn. So the respawn timer isn't too long. At the end of this route, you'll see that I do head back to the Fallen Theater outpost, and the first one that I went to already respawned. Now jumping over to the silicon research material, which is under the Echo Swamp location, the resource, and again, munitions boxes. This time I do head to the temp location in Misty Wood. And so if you do want to claim these, again, the temp locations, you do have to go up this little robot. You'll see here, the little robots in these locations will actually get you the waypoints. When you do head to that location, then you can start farming. Again, you'll do this little route that I do. This one does, I believe, have some resource boxes that we'll grab with this one on the route there, and then we'll end up heading back to the same location, which is the Misty Wood temp. When we do get back there, you will see that they will also respawn again, so it's a fairly easy route here. You can again follow the route that I do on screen. Jumping down to the metal Accelerant location, this is under Sterile Land, and again, I do go to a temp location here, which is the restricted temp zone. When you do get there, this one, we're going to be focusing on the munitions boxes. There is some resource boxes, I do believe, in the Sterile Land location. Just follow the route that I do on screen for these. These are a fairly easy farm route overall, and just transform back to the outpost once we are done through the route. It's like 4 to 5 munitions boxes. Or if you want to, you can head back to Albion and then head back to the zone in the exact location, which is the restricted temp zone. Once you do get back to the restricted temp zone from Albion, you can then head to do these. They will respawn when you do that. You'll get a completely new zone there. Now for the next two, we do have the Flectorite and the Ceramic Composite. Now both of these are located in the White Knight Gulch location, so you can get both of these there. Again, I'm going to go to another temp zone. This is under the shipment area, which makes this a lot easier. Again, you can get both of these materials there. You'll rack them up fairly quickly. You see that I do have a lot of materials for both of these, and that was only after doing it once or twice to figure out these farm routes. And this is more than likely the best. I have thoroughly tested a lot of these zones, and this is going to be more or less the best way to get the munitions boxes, is going to these temp zones and this location specifically and doing the exact route that I do. Same thing here. When we do head back to the outpost, that munitions box will respawn. Last up here, we do have the Nanopolymers, which is in the Agna Desert zone. This one is a bit different. You're going to want to go from a temp zone to a normal outpost, which is the Mirage location. When you do that, you'll start either at the Mirage location or the temp zone. You'll gather, I think it's 3 to 4 munitions boxes, and then you will head to that other zone. By the time you head to that other zone, you can get those munitions boxes. After you get those, you can then head back to either the temp zone or the outpost. And when you do, those munitions boxes more than likely will respawn. The reason why you want to dip back and forth is that there's a lot of leeway there in between those, and you don't want to have that open zone there, especially if you want to just do the farm route itself. You're going to want to just go back and forth. Now next up here we do have the purple materials. First we're going to go for the actual materials, not the ones that require the amorphous material. So these, we do have these two starting here, the complex carbon activator. These will just be missions. Again, it's fairly simple. You head there. They are going to take you a little bit longer. These do take between 5, 10 to sometimes 20 minutes depending on your level, and they will drop at the very end typically, or sometimes they will drop in the middle. This depends on a yellow mob that you'll see. The yellow mobs will have these materials to drop, so just note there. Sometimes in some of these you will only get to the middle section, and it is best to just leave. If you are solo or even in a group, you can also leave and just leave the mission and then head back to it, as that I did find that to be a lot of the case a lot of the times. So for these, for example, again, if you do encounter a yellow mob quite frequently or in the middle or even earlier on, more than likely it's best to just leave out and restart the mission, as that will be the fastest way to farm both the complex carbon activator and the synthesized artificial biometal. Now for this one specifically, I would just do the either zone recon or missions. I would not do the one that has the void reactor, which is under the first one here. Again, this void reactor I would not do because it does require void shards, and you're gonna have to go farm those. So I would just do the recon missions that it tells you to go to, which are the yellow ones. Again, this is going to be a yellow mob that spawns. They will drop the materials. You're not going to get them at the end, although if there is a yellow mob at the very end or a yellow mob boss, then you will get that material from that. Now last up here we do have the Gley enhancement blueprints, as well as the stabilizer blueprint and the spiral crystal. You are going to either need to do the void reactor for this one, specifically for the catalyst blueprint. You're going to have to do the void reactor. You're going to have to go farm those. First off, you do want to make sure you have the amorphous material pattern 28. Once you do get that from this recon mission, then you can head to the reactor. It's going to give you the reactor location, which is here, which is in the Agna Desert. And that does coincide there. If you didn't hear from my last video, these will tell you the Void Fusion Reactor, and then upon clicking on there, it will tell you the material pattern. This little mark here, this little red mark here, means you cannot repeat this one. That is for a quest that you'll specifically get it 100% of the time. Although most of these are typically 100%, although this one is only 28 or 20% of the time rather, and you will get that pattern 28. It went upon completing this. Is at the end for this one, not in the beginning or the yellow mobs. This is upon completion of that zone recon mission. Once you do have that, then you can head to the reactor, which is this location here, the Mirage Stone. Once you complete this void reactor mission, this is going to require monomer void shards and polymer void shards. The best way to farm those are through the void fragment missions, and you will have to check here. So some of these will drop either 1 each or 4 times each. This one specifically is a non-attribute skill, meaning I think more than likely Lay Pick can do this, as well as a few other champions, or a few other descendants rather, can do this mission. It is destructible by a certain skill only, so you will need that skill or that mob there. So for example, this void fragment mission, which does give you 4 organic and 1 inorganic, well, you will need Bunny to do that because she has the electric there, so she is the only one that can do that location there. This one is going to require polymer and monomer void shards. There are a ton of locations for this. This one here is actually fairly close to the Mirage one. This is also in the Agna Desert. This will give you 4x void shards and 1 polymer, and only requires Bunny. Everybody should have Bunny by now, so you can easily get your 4 monomer shards, and then you can work on the polymers one by one, or find another location that does have a 4 times polymer. You could also farm one like this. This one does require Viessa, although I would recommend farming a different one if you do have her, or that other one previously. This one will give you 1 for each void shard, so you will need to do it a bunch, especially if they require 11 for some, so you will need to do that 11 times there. There are ones here that require non-attribute skills. There are ones like this that are fire, and there are also ones that do non-attribute ones, which are Lay Pick and a few other champions, like I believe Ajax as well does that. So just look for those that do give either the polymer or the monomer ones, or 1 each. Now this one, for if you have a Viessa, is a chill one. So this one you can get 4x polymer shards, and that will give you 1 monomer shard. This one actually might be better to farm overall if you do have a Viessa, because you will get that 1 each, and more than likely you're going to want to do it 3 to 4 times anyways when you're doing the farm here. So this one's the best for Viessa. There's also one close here. Again, this is in the Vespers location. This one will require a Blair, so if you have a Blair friend, this one will also give you 4x polymer shards, although you're only going to get 1 organic with that, so you won't get your monomers, but you will get the 4x polymer. Now you are going to need a ton of those shards, as you'll also be doing the same thing for the Gley Stabilizer. However, this time you're going to have to go to the Vesper Ruins Reactor. Again, same thing, you'll need the same ones, although you'll need a pattern first from the Vogus Strategic Outpost. Again, this is only a 5 to 20% drop chance. This one here, because it's a recon mission, will be waves. So every wave, it'll be an increase. The first wave will be 5%, or the first 5 waves, I believe, or 6 waves would be 5. And then after that proceeding will be a 10 to 20% chance after each of the waves that you enter into. After that, then you can head to this reactor here, which is the Vesper Ruins reactor. You can use that monomer shards and the polymer shards. And then at the end, you'll defeat a boss. It'll drop a device just like you do in the regular void battles or the void intercept battles. You'll use that pattern there. Make sure you have that pattern before you use the polymer and the monomer void shards. And then once you defeat that boss, he will drop the device. Then you can try to use that pattern on it and try to get that chance there. Again, it's only going to be a drop chance. I think it's typically 38%. The Gley Enhancement Blueprint is a bit easier here. You can get this off of Stunning Beauty. You can destroy this boss pretty fast. Again, you will need that pattern 12. This is under the special operation here. You can get that from one of the either the end or one of the mini bosses. Typically, this is from the end, so it's going to be at the end of the special operation. And then once you get that pattern, you can then head into Stunning Beauty, and you'll get that device where you can then use that and have a chance to get the Enhancement Blueprint. Typically, 38% chance there. Jumping over to the hardest material to get now. Now, this is actually harder than the other ones. The Cooling Metallic Foil. So what you have to do to get these is you actually have to go to an encrypted vault. If you don't know what encrypted vaults are, you can find them using the tab key or again R3 by clicking in your stick. They will ping a noise. If you don't hear that noise and you don't hear that pinging, then you're not by one. You have to run around a little bit until you hear the pinging get louder and louder. Upon finding one of these encrypted vaults, you will need to use a resource on them. That resource specifically is either a code analyzer, a precision code analyzer, or an ultra code precision analyzer. You only will get these through missions. So they're going to tell you how to get one of each of these. However, they are very random to get these actual code analyzers. So in order to get these, like, they're just an RNG farm there to get those, and the ultra ones are seemingly the hardest ones to get, or the regular ones seem even harder. I do believe that the higher levels and the higher tier zones that you get to, the better off that you're going to get a precision or an ultra precision. These are all just based on missions mostly, and so when you go through here, you're just going to have to do missions in order to get these. And then once you do get a code analyzer, you can then go ahead and use it on the vault. However, there are specific vaults you have to go to in the White Knight Gulch. This is the only area that you can do these decryptions in, so make sure you're saving all of them. If you do want Gley, make sure you're saving all of them for just the White Knight Gulch. I do think they variate. There are vaults on multiple of the fields, and there are multiple of them in the fields itself, and so it's not always a precision vault. It's not always ultra precise. You will, depending on what you find there, might have to go to a different one if you don't have that material for it. Once you use the code analyzer, again, these are consumable. You have to be very, very careful here. It is a mini game, and it's actually quite difficult to do these. It will switch between your left click and right click. I do believe this is going to be either left trigger or right trigger on the PlayStation and Xbox. And so once you do these, the ultra precision ones are really hard to do overall. So be careful on these. When you're trying to do them, they are a difficult mini game there. And I did a precision vault, or precision encrypted vault, after failing a few ultra precision ones. I did a regular precision one, not the regular code analyzer. There is a middle one, and again, there's 3 different difficulties there. The second one only gave me 2 of these material, and you need 38. So if you did the precision ones, you will need to do it 19 times, it seems, or it might be a little bit RNG there. Maybe you'll get more than 2. However, it does seem that this is going to be one of the hardest materials to get, if not the hardest itself. Be very careful, as while you're doing these code analyzers, it will change from left click to right click or left trigger to right trigger in the middle. If you do fail once, more than likely, you're not going to be able to open these. I failed a couple times with a couple code analyzers just to get footage for this video overall, so it is fairly difficult to do that. Last up here, you will need the Gley Code. This one's actually seems fairly easy. Again, you're going to need the pattern here from the Magister's lab, so you're going to do that at the end. I believe this one does have a 100% chance to drop. I would save this one for last, as it's probably going to be one of the easier ones or easier farms to do, unless you want to do it right away. And usually the codes vary between 15 to 38%. After that, you can head back and do the Grave Walker boss. Fairly easy boss there, and it only requires a level 2 pattern. This might get better if you are already on hard mode. You can do Bride if you wanted to and get that 69 pattern there to do on Bride, and then you might have a higher drop chance there. However, this one's going to be a fairly easy farm overall because of getting that pattern is not going to be too bad there, seemingly because it's a 100% drop. Overall, it should cover it for the entire Gley complete guide. If you like and subscribe, and until the next one, deuces.